Hello and welcome to this lecture all about the De-Esser 2 plugin. So this lecture was taken from my complete Logic Pro 10 course. To gain full access to this course, just check out the link in the description below. So De-Esser is actually a fast-acting compressor that only compresses at high frequencies or a certain band of high frequencies. A De-Esser is primarily used to reduce sibilance in vocal recordings. A De-Esser can also be used to smooth out high frequencies in other instruments such as hi-hats or cymbals. Like I said though, a De-Esser is primarily used on vocals for reducing the sibilance, so any harsh S's, F's or T sounds. So essentially a De-Esser reduces that high-end hiss produced from the S, F or T sounds. Sibilance also depends on the voice itself. It also depends on the position of the microphone. So if you're at the side of the microphone slightly, it will sound less S-y than if you're directly in front of the microphone. So mic placement can help with sibilance. As well, the distance will make a difference with sibilance. So if the vocalist is right up close to the microphone, then there may be more sibilance than if the vocalist is further away from the microphone. However, you may not want the vocalist too far away from the microphone because you may capture more room sound, which you may not want for your recording. But a De-Esser can help reduce sibilance in your recording. Be careful though when you're de-essing, because if you have too much of this, then it may sound like the vocalist has got a bit of a lisp, but the correct amount can make your vocal recording sound less harsh. I generally like to use a De-Esser before the compressor, so I'm not compressing the unwanted sibilant sound. But sometimes if it's a really S-y recording, I will also use a De-Esser after the compressor as well as before the compressor. So let's have a look at the De-Esser 2 plugin in Logic Pro 10. So to open this up, we need to go down to Dynamics and then De-Esser 2. In this plugin, we have a few different dials and controls, and we also have these visual meter displays. We also have a few different presets we can choose. I'm going to go to Recall Default and work from the default. Okay, let's have a look at the different settings now. On the left here, you'll notice we have the detection meter slider. So this allows us to drag up or down the threshold, and gain reduction will only be applied to signals above this number. Let's just solo the vocals and play this back.
I push against the earth.
We also have a detection meter. So this shows us the input signal level, and the level is in yellow when it goes above the threshold.
I push against the earth.
And the maximum number is displayed at the top, and you can click to reset this number. Okay, going along we have the reduction meter slider. This allows you to drag to set the maximum reduction level. And we also have a reduction meter. So this shows the amount of gain reduction that's been applied.
I push against the earth, but all I see is dirt in me. Every lie I say.
And the maximum number is shown in the number above, which you can also click to reset. Okay, going along we have some more controls. First one is the threshold. This dial does the same as the slider over here. So a threshold, it basically only applies the reduction to signals above this number. So if you have this at 0 dB, for example, it won't apply any reduction to the signal because the signal won't be above 0 dB. So let's just lower this. And going along we have max reduction. And this also does the same as the slider over here. So this is the maximum reduction that will be applied when the signal passes past the threshold. So the higher the number, the more gain reduction will be applied to your signal.
I push against the earth.
And if we lower this, we have less gain reduction applied to the signal.
I push against the...
And we can see the amount of reduction with this blue bar in the reduction meter.
I push against the earth, but all I see is dirt in...
Okay, going along we have frequency. So this is the center frequency that you're going to reduce. So it's the frequency where the sibilance is detected at. Generally, I'd have this between 5 and 10,000 hertz. It really does depend on the voice that you're mixing. For female vocals, for example, the frequency may be a little higher. And going down, we also have the filter solo button. So this is really useful. So this solo is the frequency that you've selected. This allows you to just listen to the frequency that you want to attenuate.
I push against the earth, but all I see is dirt in me. I push against the earth.
In this vocal here, I push against the earth. It's the against that I want to reduce.
I push against the earth. I push against the earth. I push against the earth. I push against the earth.
So the frequency that I want to attenuate is around about 7,800 Hertz.
I push against the earth. I push against the.
So I do recommend having this filter solo button selected, finding the frequency that you wish to attenuate, and I also recommend going through and setting the right threshold for your recording and finding the max amount of reduction. Like I said though, if you have too much de-essing going on, it may sound like your singer has a bit of a lisp. You do want some S sounds though, you don't want to cut out too much, but you may want to cut out some so the recording doesn't sound too harsh. Okay, going along we can choose filter type. Here we have a bandpass filter, and we also have a high shelf filter. The bandpass filter mode is useful for isolating and reducing a specific band of high frequencies. So if you just want to reduce the band around a certain frequency, then I recommend using the band setting. The high shelf filter mode though could be useful for reducing a full range of SE sounds that are above the frequency that you've selected. So if you want to reduce a frequency and also all of the other high frequencies above it, then I recommend using the high shelf. But if you just want to reduce a specific band, then I recommend using band mode. Okay, going along we have the range setting. So here we have split or we have wide. So these both affect the filter frequency range. So split affects the signal tightly around the center frequency of the frequency value that you select. So this can give you a more narrow reduction. And wide mode will affect a broader range around the frequency value. We also have two different modes. We have relative and absolute. So in absolute mode, if you have a very quiet signal at certain points, this can only be processed if the threshold is set to a very low value, because the audio needs to go above this threshold for it to be filtered or reduced at the frequency that you select. And then we have relative mode. With relative mode, the signal level can actually be higher or lower than where we have the threshold set. So in this mode, we can adjust the threshold so it's just triggering the de-esser, and the threshold will be adjusted for a quieter or louder S sound. With this mode, we just set the threshold so it's triggering the de-esser, and the threshold will be adjusted automatically with the de-esser for quieter or louder S sounds. We still need to set the threshold here. However, if the level goes up, then it will automatically raise the threshold level. So if there are any sibilance sounds that are quieter or louder in the audio, the threshold will be adjusted in this relative mode. So this mode can actually give a more consistent effect and sound smoother than the absolute mode. So I do recommend going through and listening to your audio, reducing some of those harsh sibilant sounds, but maybe not too much, or you may get a bit of a lisp sound. Okay, so that is the De-Esser 2 plugin in Logic Pro 10. It's a kind of multi-band compressor that only operates at a single frequency band. The De-Esser is mainly used for vocals to tame some of the sibilant sounds, but we can use it for other instruments such as cymbals or hi-hats, just to smooth out the sound and attenuate some of those piercing frequencies. So when de-essing vocals, I do recommend going through and finding the right frequency you wish to de-ess. The filter solo button can really help with this. Then setting the correct threshold, choosing your mode, and then adding the max reduction. Make sure you don't reduce too much because you still want some of those S sounds. And if you reduce too much, it may sound like the vocalist has got a bit of a lisp. However, a de-esser can be really great just for reducing some sibilant sounds that you get from S's, F's, and T's. So thanks for watching this lecture. I hope you found it useful, and I'll see you in the next one. So this lecture was actually taken from my complete Logic Pro 10 course. To gain full access to this course, just check out the link in the description below.